all want to clear the clutter, but who has the time to dedicate to a big decluttering session? And if you did have a few minutes, where would you even start? Well, I have rounded up 50 things that you can declutter in less than 5 minutes so that you can keep making progress, keep chipping away at your clutter without requiring hours of your time or burning yourself out. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura and Jovi, and I help you live a simpler, happier, more spacious life. And between jobs and kids and preparing meals and doing laundry and going grocery shopping, there's not much time left over for decluttering. There's not much energy left over for decluttering. But here are some things that you can sneak in when you have a few spare minutes. They are all things that are going to make a noticeable difference in your home and to your daily life. Now, if you are on my email list, you won't even have to bookmark this video because I have a free printable with all 50 things on it in your resource library, along with all your other free printables. If you're not on the list, I will leave a link in the description so you can access that. First up is your nightstand. This is the place that I always recommend that people start when they ask me, where do I start decluttering? It is because it is one of the first things you see in the morning when you wake up, and it's one of the last things you see at night before you go to sleep. So that has a big impact on your kind of perception of your home. If you're waking up and seeing clutter, it's going to make your entire home feel cluttered. If you wake up and see a lovely, calm, clean, organized, tidy space, it's going to make you feel so much better. So start with your nightstand, clear off the top, give it a bit of a clean, and only put back the things that spark joy, only the things that you need, the things that make you feel great, the things that you actually want there. Then rehome the rest. Next up is your sock drawer, another really quick one to go through. Now, if you want to fold them a certain way, I do have a folding video for you, so I shall link that. There is a timestamp to the specific part where I talk about socks, and also the next one in our list, I'll come back to that. But socks are a really great one to declutter because you're probably in your sock drawer every single day. So when you open up that drawer and you see them all neatly lined up, or you don't have holy ones or ratty ones, when they all spark joy for you. And I'm a sock person. Listen, I love socks. So I have quite a few, but it's nice when they're all in good condition and they're socks that you actually enjoy wearing. Which leads me to the next one, which is underwear. Particularly if you wear bras, you will understand that comfort is key. You do not want to wear things that are uncomfortable, although there is a certain amount of discomfort that I think we just have to put up with sometimes. But anything where the wire is jabbing you, or where it's really uncomfortable, really tight, or you're spilling out of it, or you're not spilling out of it enough, or whatever the reason, go through, declutter the ones that are just not in good condition, past their prime, or you're just not wearing because, ugh, so uncomfortable. Again, I have another video on folding underwear. That was a very popular one. So if you want to go ahead and watch that, I will link it for you. Listen, I know some of you are thinking life's too short to fold underwear. You do you. You do not have to fold your underwear. I find it quite meditative, so I do it, but whatever works for you. Fourth on the list then is loungewear. Particularly the past year, I think a lot of us have been wearing more loungewear than usual. So if you've got pajamas and sweatpants and things like that, old t-shirts that you've just been wearing around the house, go through them and see which ones you still want, which ones are still in good condition, and which ones have probably past their prime. Now listen, this is the one section where if it's got a hole in it, that does not automatically disqualify it. Loungewear is all about the comfort, so it's not really about the aesthetics. If you feel comfortable in it, if you feel cozy and warm, or like you can just kind of schlep around the house, then go for it. But go through all of your loungewear and see which ones just aren't really cutting it anymore. I'm gonna lump these next three together because they are in the same category. The first one is earrings. If any of them are missing a mate or you don't wear them, you know, I used to have ones that were just really heavy, and anytime I wore them they would pull on my ears, so I stopped wearing them basically. Those are the ones to let go of. You can donate them if they're still in like good sanitary condition, if the charity shop will take them. Next up, necklaces. Again, are you actually wearing them? And the third is bracelets. I love the idea of bracelets, but I never really wear them because I type a lot, you know, I spend a lot of time at my laptop, so they end up just clunking off the desk or off the laptop. and that really annoys me. Or if I'm writing, same idea, they just get in the way for me. So I do have a few select items, but other than that, no, particularly clunky things. I can't be dealing with that. Let's stick with accessories then and move on to hats, scarves and gloves. We are knee deep in autumn right now where I am in the northern hemisphere. Slippery slope to winter. I can feel the temperatures dropping with each day that passes. So I know hats, scarves and gloves are going to be things that I'm going to be wearing on a very regular basis, unfortunately, for the next few months. But scarves could also be, you know, decorative scarves that you have or lace gloves that you have. So not necessarily a winter item, but all those types of accessories. Go through and see which ones are actually comfortable, which ones you actually want to wear, and say goodbye to the rest. Now, as an aside, if you do struggle to say goodbye to things, my last video was all about easing that separation anxiety so that you can let things go. I will have that linked for you, but let's move on to the next one. Also an accessory, but glasses, like prescription glasses or sunglasses. My husband has some sort of obsession with sunglasses. My daughter shares it, so we have a lot of sunglasses around the house. I own maybe 3-ish pairs. I do wear them when it's sunny outside, so I keep mine, but they have millions. They really don't need them, but I can't tell them that because mine is not the reason why. That's their thing. And I know from other people that reading glasses in particular, because you can pick them up relatively inexpensively at chemists and things, it's easy to kind of amass a lot of them, you know, some to keep in your bag, some to keep in your car, some to keep around the home. But over a while, you end up kind of collecting a lot of them, or your prescription changes over time. So you might have some old ones that are still lying around. Gather them all together and say goodbye to the ones that no longer fit into your life. Okay, let's move on to more kind of like bathroom type stuff. The first is hair accessories. Now this could be like clips and hair bands. It could be styling products. It could be curling ones, you know, hair tools. If you have a large collection, feel free to just break it down into whatever subsection suits you. I used to have a few different types of things, straightening irons, curling ones, all sorts of clips and things when I had long hair, and then I cut it up short. And I got rid of all of that stuff. I set myself free. But you find and cherish the things that work for you and then say goodbye to the rest. Also, nail polishes. This is one of those things that, you know, in theory, I think is great. And occasionally I do paint my nails, but I'm too low maintenance when it comes to my appearance. Like as soon as it gets chipped, I'm like, ugh. So I really only paint them if I'm going to like a conference or an event or something. Other than that, can't be bothered with it, but I do have a select number of nail polishes. If you also have a small selection, you could include things like nail files and all those types of random bits and bobs, accessories that go with doing your nails or your toenails. I can't stand anybody touching my feet. No. Anything related to manicures or pedicures. Next up then is toiletries, but if you do have a large selection of toiletries, stick to the ones that are actually in your shower or around your bath. You might think that these are the ones that you're actually using on a regular basis. That's why they're in your shower or around your bath. But actually over time, things can just sit there and they build up grime and grease all around them. Do a quick scan through them, figure out which are the ones that you are actually currently using, and then either set the rest aside or even donate them maybe to a women's shelter or a homeless shelter, or if they're just not in good condition, get rid of them completely. Again, another thing that is going to make a big difference to your daily life, because you're probably showering or bathing on a daily or, you know, semi-regular basis. Next up we have kind of candles, diffusers, air fresheners, perfumes, any sort of scent. I'm not really a candle person, so not a big issue for me, but you know when you have those ones that you buy because they're a beautiful shape or something and then you never burn them because that would ruin them. I mean, listen, fine to keep them as decoration if you like, but if you have diffusers that you don't quite like the smell of, or candles that you're just not burning for whatever reason, pass them along to someone else. Towels are also a great one to go through, because over time you just tend to accumulate towels. I think it's part of being a grown-up. Over time you buy new ones, but you hang on to the old ones just in case, you know, in case you suddenly have 10 million visitors come to your home, or you think, you know, I'll use them as rags, or they might come in handy for something. If you're genuinely using them, that's great, but if you have a stack of them in your linen closet, in your hot press, in wherever you keep them, and they've been there for a while, might be time to pass them along. You could donate them if they're in really good condition, or if they're a little bit ratty, a few holes in them, not their best, then an animal shelter would really love them. Same with extra bedclothes. Again, a thing that we tend to kind of accumulate over time because you think, oh, well, it's always handy to have an extra set of bedclothes. Same rules apply if they've been sitting there for a while. It's time to get rid of them. Again, donate or animal shelter. Then laundry supplies. Now, if you were like me, you have spent a while trying to find the perfect detergent, you know, ones that's kind of eco-friendly, but also actually cleans your clothes. So you might have accumulated a few different detergents or different types of things, spot treatments, fabric softeners, you know, those little dryer sheets, all those types of things. They all really add up. Choose the ones that you're actually using. Declutter the rest. Now this next one I'm going to lump into bathroom, even though technically you should not be keeping them in your bathrooms. Too moist in here. But medications, vitamins, herbs, supplements, all those types of things. This is one of those things, particularly with medications, that can actually be harmful to your health. You know, sometimes when we're decluttering, we think, well, it's only taking up a tiny amount of space and it's on that shelf, so it's fine to just leave it there. It's not hurting anyone. But medication could actually hurt someone. Go through all of the expiry dates and then bring the ones that have expired to your local pharmacy. They will probably be able to take them back for you and dispose of them in a safe way. If not, they will be able to tell you how to do it. You may even notice as you're going through it that you're actually short in supply on some things. So write a list for yourself and then pick up and replenish what you need. But whatever you do, get them out of your bathroom. Okay, we've got ourselves out of the bathroom for this next one, and that is your fruit bowl. Mine is looking pretty pathetic right now. I've just got a lemon, a lime, and an apple in there. But in my defense, it's because I have been naturally decluttering fruit by eating it. Well, the stuff that's on the bottom of the fruit bowl tends to get forgotten for longer than it should. So take everything out, examine it, see if it's still in good condition. If it's expired or it's unidentifiable, get rid of it. For some of the rest of it, you could naturally declutter it, eat it. You could even wash and, you know, chop or prepare some of the rest of it. Decluttering and improving your diet. Next is the utensil drawer. Again, one of these things that as grown-ups, we just tend to accumulate over the years. I'm willing to bet that you probably have mismatched sets of like forks and knives and spoons. And that is definitely not to say that they all need to be matching, but there's probably a type that you avoid because they're just not comfortable, or for some reason, some irrational reason, you just never use them. Box those up and send them on their merry way. It's another thing that is going to make your daily life so much easier because the drawer will be easier to open when there's less in it, and you'll be able to find what you need much quicker. The next two are great because they take up a lot of space in your cabinet, so even just getting rid of one of them can free up a lot of surface area. So the first one we'll talk about is roasting dishes. Really big and bulky, and how often do you really use them? Declutter the ones that you're not using, or if there's something there that you tend to only use once or twice a year, you know, maybe when a big holiday rolls around. Those are not necessarily the things that you should keep in the kind of like daily use cabinet. If they're getting in the way and you only use them once or twice a year, put them on a high shelf, put them somewhere else. Now listen, if they're there and they're not doing anybody any harm and you do use them occasionally, that's fine. But if they are getting in the way, either get rid of them or just get them out of that space and put them somewhere else. And then pots and pans. You probably have, and I've mentioned this before, a favorite saucepan. Don't know what it is, but I gravitate towards the same one every time, and the only reason I will deviate from it is if it is too small to fit whatever I need. And listen, I will fill it up to the top if I can get away with that. But sometimes I do have to move to a bigger pot. Otherwise, it's the same one every single time. If it's the same for you, examine which pots you're actually using and gravitating towards, and which ones you're just not. Free up all of that lovely space for yourself. Okay, let's talk about a category of thing that you keep in your kitchen, and we're going to break this down because you're not going to want to tackle the whole thing at once if you've only got 5 minutes. The first then is meats. Go through your meat drawer, go through all of the meats that you keep in your freezer. Maybe you've got a chest freezer that has a lot of meat stored in there. Take your 5 minutes, go through it, see if it is still in good condition, and if not, if it is past its prime, if it's freezer burned, if you can't remember when you put it in there, if it smells or looks not good, get it gone. Dairy is the next one. Milks, cheeses, yogurts, all that type of thing. Go through again, make sure that it is in good condition, and then, you know, make a conscious effort to use it up. Cereals, or kind of like breakfast items, is the next category. A really good one to go through. You can make a big dent here in a short amount of time, but also include things like, you know, granola bars or anything that you would normally eat for breakfast. A really quick category to go through, and again, going to make your daily life so much easier. And then the dreaded spices and or seasonings, depending on the size of your collection. Chances are there is at least one in there that has long since expired. Go through, whittle it down, tidy it up. Then recipe books. Now this is something that I don't necessarily struggle with because I can't cook. So I have never really collected recipe books. I have been gifted some over the years and I still have those, but in general, not something that I struggle with. But it doesn't necessarily need to be books. Maybe you've just got a recipe collection, you know, just cards. Maybe you have been saving recipes on Pinterest or something like that. Go through those and figure out which are the ones that you're actually using, which are the ones that you go back to on a regular basis, and which are the ones that you just know that you're not going to use. If you're unsure about them, make a conscious effort to actually try them this coming week or this coming month. If you're not willing to put in the effort to make the recipe in the foreseeable future, you can just let that one go. Listen, if you do need to find it again, you will be able to. The internet is a vast place, has recipes for pretty much everything you could possibly imagine. I promise you, you're not missing out by getting rid of 1 or 2 recipes. Then reusable bottles, or those coffee mugs that you would use to fill up. Over time, those can get very grotty and grimy and full of bacteria. So at the very least, give them all a good wash. But depending on how many you have and how many you actually use, you may be able to declutter some of these. Next is your post, all of the mail that you have collected over the past week, if it's a large collection, or you can go back even further, but that's the type of thing that we tend to just drop on a kitchen counter somewhere. If you've been accumulating a pile of it, go through, dump all of the junk, well, recycle it, and then action anything that needs to be actioned, you know, bill that needs to be paid, an invitation that needs to be RSVP'd to, and if there's something that needs to be filed, go ahead and file it. Whittle that mountain down to a molehill. And then writing implements, pens, markers, pencils, crayons, all the things that end up spread all throughout your home, but generally somewhere in the kitchen as well. Maybe you've got a junk drawer or something and you throw all your pens in there. Do you really need that many? And as you're going through them, just have a little scratch page and figure out if they're actually working or not. You'll be surprised by how many pens and markers and things you're hanging on to that don't even work anymore. They're all dried up. It's one of those categories that won't necessarily save you a lot of space, but it will save you a lot of frustration on a regular basis, because how many times have you gone looking for a pen and not been able to find one, or you do find one and it won't write? Gather them all up, figure out which ones don't work anymore, which ones you don't like anymore, declutter those ones, and then put the rest in a space where they're actually easily accessible and where you will know where to find them when you need them. Okay, into the living room, and I was going to sit over there, but my neighbor is outside and she can see straight in, so now I'm hiding behind the curtain over here. Next one then is wall art. All of the stuff that is hanging on your walls. Over time, you can become blind to that sort of stuff. I know, I'm still here. And you don't even realize that it's there anymore. So go through and figure out which are the ones that do actually add to the space, which are the ones that you do actually love, and which are the ones that you could just let go of. Now I know, bare walls, you might not be into it. I totally am. My husband wants to cover every square inch of our walls. But again, is it actually adding something to the room, or is it just distracting you? Pick one focal point, like one piece of art or like a gallery wall of art, and then let go of all of the kind of invisible art that is hanging around your home. Do you want to come up? Come up. There we go. Not really big enough for 2, but we'll make it work. Turning your back on the people. And turn around. Here we go. Oh, good girl. Yes. Next up is side tables or coffee tables. You might be able to declutter the piece of furniture itself if you realize you don't need that many side tables, or any side table for that matter, or just whatever is on the top of them. Maybe you've got some, you know, coffee table books that really just don't like there, or maybe the space has just become cluttered because it's a surface That is somehow what happens to flat surfaces. 5 minutes to go through them and spruce them up a little bit. Another really good one to go through is board games then. Again, over the years, they're kind of ones that you collect over time, but maybe you've played a few and you know that you're not going to play them again. You probably gravitate towards the same ones. So do someone else a favor and donate or gift a board game that you're just not using, assuming of course that it's all in, you know, good condition and all the pieces are there. Don't be donating anything that does not have all of the pieces. And then magazines or newspapers. If you've been following me for a while, or even just recently, you will know that I had a big problem with magazines that I had collected over the years and just couldn't seem to let go of, because I kept thinking, well, I'll definitely read those, but I never did. So a few months ago, I actually went and donated them. I popped them into a little free library that is in the local park, and it just felt like such a weight had been lifted off me, because not only did I get rid of those magazines, not only did I free up a new little cupboard for myself, but it alleviated that mental burden as well. You know, that anxiety that I felt. I have to read those, I have to get around to reading that, I really should be reading those. Just let it all go. And then pet toys. Now, if you've got kids' toys, go for it, but probably you're not going to be able to go through all of them in 5 minutes or less, which is why I'm going with pet toys. But if you don't have pets, and again, it's more kids' toys, break it down into like a small subcategory. Another one of these things that you just tend to amass over time. Jovi doesn't have too many pet toys, but it was her birthday the other day, and she got a new toy, so it was time to kind of retire some of the old ones. Pet toys especially get really grubby and worn and destroyed if you're this one, very energetic, loves chewing on things. But you know, they just don't tend to last all that long. They're not really meant to go the distance, and they just get disgusting. Next one then can be a tricky one, I grant you, and this is a trap that I fell into in the last few years, but plants and plant pots. I have accumulated a lot in the last few years, like I said. Now, some of them have gone to the big plant graveyard in the sky, but there are some that are hanging around that are really not probably going to survive. I have one, and my husband calls it a pot of sticks because it's just really the stalks that are left. The stems, all the leaves have fallen off, but I still have hope. I have hope for petunia. But are all of your plants in good condition? Do you like them all? Are there some that you have that are toxic to people or pets that you may want to move or completely get rid of? And all of the plant pots, you know, the plastic ones that they come in when you buy them at the store, and then you repot them into a nicer pot, but you hang on to all of the plastic ones. Declutter. Maybe not all of those if you do kind of need them for seedlings and stuff, but you probably have more than you need. That's with the pots. The plants, I feel you can never have more than you need. I think I have about 20 or 25 now. But like I said, some of them are on the way out. I'm trying to save them. I really am. But I think in the next few weeks, at least 2 of them are going to have to go. Okay, I wanted to move for this next section, but she's all like snuggly and warm and comfortable here, so we're going to stick here for now. But let's move on to digital stuff. The first is people or accounts in your timeline that you don't really want to see there anymore. So the next time you're scrolling through, take 5 minutes and just examine whether or not that stuff is adding value to your life, whether you want to continue seeing that on a regular basis. And for the stuff that you don't, mute, unfollow, unlike, whatever you need to do. And then photos that you took this past week, or if you haven't taken that many, maybe this past month. Again, just spend 5 minutes going through them and getting rid of the ones that you don't need. I take thousands of pictures of this one, thousands of pictures of my kid, random things, you know, maybe to share on social media or something, but I don't need to keep them forever, especially like if I take basically 20 of the exact same one of her. Most of them will be blurry because she just moves around a lot. She hates having her picture taken. She hates the camera in general. Like, no, she won't do it. If I try and take a picture on my phone, she will like purposely try and avoid it. She will turn away and she will just generally wriggle. And if I continue to try, she will try and swipe the phone out of my hand. Yes, I'm talking about you. Apps as well. You probably have more than you need, definitely more than you're using on a regular basis, so whittle those down. I guess we're just staying here for the rest of the video then. Gardening tools. This is something that a lot of us probably got into in the past year while we were all stuck at home. We started, trying to grow our own vegetables and things like that. I know I certainly did. But with that comes a lot of seeds and gloves and shears and things. Maybe you gave it the good old college try and you've realized it's not for you, in which case you can just let go of all of that stuff. Or maybe, as you've gone about your journey, you've realized which are the necessities, which are the tools that you do need, and which are the ones that you haven't used at all. Licking my hand. If you're not using it, declutter it. Same goes for fitness gear then, and this could be like workout clothes, or it could be the actual equipment that you have been using. Maybe you've got some weights or resistant bands or things like that. Again, if you're not using it, if you don't love it, if it's uncomfortable, or for whatever reason, it's just not part of your regular fitness routine, just pass it on. We've all done it. We've all bought this stuff in a fit of like New Year's wonder and then just never followed through on it, or did for a little while before we slowly set that stuff aside. No shame in it. If like a particular exercise is not for you, it's not for you. Next up, this is a really quick win that you can get, and it's something that you've already decided to get rid of, kind of, but the contents of a bin or a recycling box or your shredder. Really quick win that you can get. Just declutter it, get it gone, move it into like the big waste bin. Oh, okay, she's gone. We can move now, but let me just finish this bit. Like I said, it's all stuff that you've already decided that you're going to be getting rid of. So, bring that donation box to the charity shop, empty out your shredder into the recycling box, get all of that stuff gone. You need to go outside. Okay, hang on, one moment, please. Take your bins out to, the main bins that are outside, or maybe you have lots of small bins around in like your home office, your bedroom, your bathroom, and those ones tend to kind of fill up. Like you might empty the ones in your kitchen on a regular basis, but the other smaller ones, not so much. Really quick win that you can get, just empty it all, get rid of it. Okay, now let's move. Next up then is one file folder. So you've emptied out your shredder, which means you've probably been shredding papers, but if you've been filing stuff, you may have accumulated a lot of papers over the years, insurance documents, like medical stuff maybe, all sorts of things, bank statements, etc. If you still need them, of course, keep them. What are you doing? No, get out of there. Get out of there. No. But you probably do have more than you need. So take one section, one file folder, and go through that. Put that shredder to good use again. Then gift bags and kind of general supplies, wrapping paper, ribbon, gift tags, all those things. Again, accumulation over the years. I keep gift bags and wrapping paper and stuff that people give me so that I can reuse them. But it does mean that after a while I have more than I will probably ever use. But I will still go and pick up more wrapping paper the next time I see it. It's one of those things that's relatively inexpensive, and particularly, after a big holiday, Christmas, etc., it's all discounted. So I go crazy. If anything is surplus to requirements, declutter it. And then coats and jackets, maybe you have outworn them, outgrown them, maybe the previous season that has just passed, that they're not going to live to see that season again next year. Whatever the reason is, if you've got more than you want or need, it's time to let them go. Whatever the reason, if you've got ones that you no longer want or need, you can get rid of those. Next is the contents of your purse or your bag, whatever you carry with you. These can contain everything but the kitchen sink. So you've probably got receipts in there. You may have a library book. You may have a spare pair of shoes. You might have, all sorts of things. Snacks. If you're me, you've got snacks in there. But you may not have emptied it out in quite a while. So dump it all out onto your counter or onto a table. Go through those contents. Figure out what's trash. There will probably be a lot of trash in there, and what really does not need to be in there, and then save your back the ache of carrying that heavy bag around. Or even just go through your purse or your wallet, take out all of the old receipts, take out all of the expired coupons, take out all of the cards that you're no longer using, loyalty cards, all those types of things. Again, just lighten your load. This one is having a full-on sniffing session in the couch. She's got her snout like right down in between the cushions. But canvas or reusable bags and totes are next. Things that you pick up along the way. Do you really need that many of them? We often get ones free now at events, or free with a magazine or something. So we end up with more than we need. What? She's found a pair of socks. My husband's socks. Where did you find those? You probably don't need as many as you have, so you can whittle those down. And then sticking with the bag theme, suitcases or any other sort of travel bag or backpack, things that you would bring with you if you were going somewhere. Again, maybe you have more than you need. If you do, pass the surplus on to someone else. Nearly there now. The next one is the center console in your car. That can become a dumping ground for so many different things, like random bits and bobs. Take 5 minutes, pull everything out of it, go through it, and then tidy it all up, put only the things that you need back in. Then the contents of one drawer or one shelf. Keep it nice and small, a really small space that you can tackle in 5 minutes or less. It's something that is going to, you know, get you great results and quick results. It's easy to feel like you can't tackle a space, you know, a bookcase or something, because you don't have that much time, but you can still go shelf by shelf. You can still declutter an entire room, you know, going cupboard by cupboard or small corner by small corner. Never underestimate how much progress you can make in just a short amount of time. That leads me to the final one, which is the contents of your notice board or bulletin board, or wherever you might pin kind of invitations. Maybe it's the front of your fridge. Those places get really messy really quickly, and a lot of it is like outdated or expired stuff. You know, it's the calendar from last year. It's the invitation for that event that was 6 months ago. Again, take everything off it, reevaluate everything, and only put back up the things that are actually current and that you actually want to see or need to see. Remember to bookmark this video so that you can come back to this list anytime you need a little bit of inspiration, or just go ahead and save the free printable that is in the resource library for email subscribers. Again, the link to that is in the description, and if you really like this video, you are going to love my monthly series where I share 10 things that you can declutter each month. It is to help you take the guesswork out of what to get rid of. What have you got in your mouth? Oh, another sock. Where do you keep finding all these socks? You can catch up on that series right here and then subscribe to make sure that you don't miss future ones. Until next time, I don't know where she's gone. Go raibh míle maith go raibh. Agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán. Silence. That's not a good sign. Okay, what are you doing? Where are you?
What are you up to? Look at that face.